Okay, the men's team is Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. Of course, it's Leon Slater. Javon Evans. Okay. NXT men's team is Ricky Sainz, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Miles Bourne. Okay, I should have done this from the beginning. That looks like a great match. That looks like a tremendous match. I get the feeling NXT wins that one. It makes sense. Like if you're talking about it from a storytelling standpoint, getting like, of course, I'm going to look at getting heat, but I think they should end the night with Trick Williams standing over Mike Santana, and that's how they go off the air on NXT to preview Bound for Glory. I think that the biggest push for Bound for Glory pay-per-view buys and ticket sales is going to come from NXT Showdown. Right, we already got good ticket sales already, and I'm going to get into the ticket sales here in a little bit as I talk about the new matches for Bound for Glory. But I think that big push that we're going to get is going to come from that NXT show. So what I want is the final scene of Trick Williams standing over. It'd be nice if it was bloody, but they don't do that. But it's standing over Mike Santana, and then maybe you end it with like a big brawl. I think that would be good. But I think Trick has to pin Mike Santana one more time before we head into Bound for Glory. And it's shenanigans, of course. You know, like they got to cheat. Like heel should cheat to win, and Trick is a heel. So I'm into that, and the talent in it is insane. So if they let these guys cook, I know it's only a 2-hour TV show, but if they let these guys cook, like this could be a really fucking good match, man. I want to see a little preview of Javon Evans and Leon Slater. We saw a little bit of that during the tag team match on Tuesday when they were a team against the Cucking. What is that? What is the team called? The Cucking? Okay, the Culling. Sorry, the Culling. I was thinking about TNA's role in this whole thing, but but that was awesome. They're like a fucking dream team. so I'm like, you guys screwed up teaming those guys, by the way, because now that's all we want to see going forward. We want to see that as those guys as a tag team. They were perfect as a tag team. But yeah, I think Mike. So it's an elimination match, so Survivor Series. Frankie, Moose, and Leon can get eliminated fairly easily. That's no big deal. You're looking at the men's team. I bet Ricky Sainz and Trick Williams don't get pinned. I bet. Or if Ricky Sainz gets eliminated, it'll be like old school, like a DQ type deal, or whoever he's feuding with like comes and takes him out. He like gets like a count out or something like that. I could see that. They're probably going to protect their champion. So, and then Trick Williams pins Mike Santana to close the show. And then we get to the women's team. Let's talk about the NXT team first. We got JC Jane, Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, and Lola Vice. That's a pretty good team. That's a green team, I would say. Pretty green. Like the men's team has, some decent experience. JC Jane, obviously, she's been around a while. She's the champion there. So, and then you get to the women's team. I'm not going to pull a Brian Alvarez on this deal. I just want you guys to know that I fucking agree with everything that Brian Alvarez says about this TNA women's team. Every bad thing that anybody has said about this team, I agree with, right? If you came here for solace and for comfort from me regarding the bullshit storytelling that they're doing for this team, as far as I'm concerned, like the storyline itself is fucking done. Like the creative purposes is dead. It's everybody jacking off now at this point. They fucked the whole thing up. Like it's been fucked up for a while. Like you had the NXT. It was Xia Brookside and Xia Li like invading NXT, but then taking happy pictures in front of the NXT logo. Like they're just happy to be there. So that sucks, right? But you don't see that on television, so it's not that big of a deal. But for this women's team, for Santino to pick Kelani Jordan, the NXT star who is the TNA Women's Champion, to be their team captain, it's asinine. It makes no sense. Literally nobody can argue that it's good. Like you can say, I think the match will be good, but that's different, right? Like there's a lot of really good matches out there that have bad stories. I'm just talking about this story. There's so many fucking plot holes in this whole thing. And I think this was the most egregious of them all. And it made it's like, you guys are telling me that you don't think I'm smart when you do that. And that's a typical WWE thing. Like they just throw it together and they just want you to like it. And they're just going to tell you that you have to like it over and over again. And then of course you got their bots and their fans are going to like say mean things about you if you try to point out the obvious plot holes. Like, yo, like what, I'm the fucking asshole now. Like they're the ones telling me I'm an idiot, right? They're the ones treating their fan base like they're stupid, but I'm a dick. Okay. So yeah, Kalani Jordan, Cassie Lee, Jessie McKay, and Mara Shade. Kalani Jordan announced Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay as the tag champions, but they had not won them yet. They do now. They have them, but they hadn't aired on television. And Mara Shade. And then so you got the obvious that this is a team full of one NXT star and 3 former NXT stars. So at least with the men's team, the only guy that's ever been in WWE was Frankie Kazarian, but it was so long ago and it was so short-lived. Like it was before the NXT days. And nobody other than people like me even remembers that. But these women were on, well, actually Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay have been off WWE television for 4 years. But they have not been on TNA television that long. Like they've only been in the company for a couple months. Same with Mara Shade. They came in the company, I want to say like a month or two before Mara did. Mara got here in what, July or early August, something like that. And then Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay were in the midsummer. And of course, Kalani Jordan doesn't even work there, right? So here's what I think they did. I think they had the script in a PDF or in a Word document. And they had this whole script that they were going to do. And when Ash by Elegance pulled out, they did a control F, right? They hit the control button F, which is fine. And they typed in Ash, right? And then it pops up every time the word Ash pops up. And then there is a function on there where you can say replace with. They clicked the replace with and they typed in Kalani Jordan. And they just slid her right into that spot. She's playing the entire role, slight variations, right? They tweaked it slightly. Because they have to try to make it make sense, but it makes no fucking sense. So there's that match. Okay. And then we also got, which I think is fairly interesting. We got Mustafa Ali is going to be taking on Ethan Page for the NXT North American Championship. Mustafa Ali cut a hell of a promo. A fantastic promo because he was actually scheduled to be challenging for the North American Championship. And then he ended up getting fired and they dropped the whole thing. Because, you know, he was a main roster star, but they had moved him back to NXT to kind of like revive him a little bit. But then they decided that they're going to go ahead and move on, which is what he had been asking for years. Like he had publicly asked for his release and then they waited until it was on their terms and they got rid of the guy. And now he's like 40 and he's in TNA. But they brought him back and he cut an amazing promo, a way better promo than he ever cut in WWE because when you're in TNA, you're underproduced and that when you're a hard worker and you're super talented like a Mustafa Ali is, and he's got his character down. Some people are off put by the politicalization. What do they call it? Politicization of he's a polarizing character. He's a fucking politician, right? Some people are off put by that. I'm not one of those people. I think this is a good heel, right? Especially in this time, like that's a hateable person, a slimy politician. There's nothing worse than a slimy politician, especially during a government shutdown. And so I look, I don't know that they're going to let these guys actually have a really good match. I think they could. Ethan Page is a fairly basic wrestler, but Mustafa Ali is a good heel. The problem is Ethan Page also heel. So that's weird. I think they're just throwing it together because of that built-in storyline. But if Ethan Page is a babyface, I think that dynamic would work a little bit better. But I do feel like Ethan Page is going to win it. And I think they just threw the match together because I don't see a world where the Hardys don't beat the Dark State for the NXT championships. I just don't see it. So they got to balance it out. So I think the men's team, NXT men's team is going to win that one. I think the TNA women take that because it's Kalani Jordan. She's NXT. So and Brian Alvarez made that point. I'm like, that's actually a good point. That it's mostly NXT people anyway. So it's like the NXT team loses nothing. And then you get Ethan Page can beat Mustafa Ali, which is fine. And then you get the Hardys winning the NXT Tag Championships. Hardys are WWE legends, so like no one's gonna look at that and think that TNA beat them, right? No one's gonna think about that. So it balances out, and nobody looks bad in the end. And then you get the unprecedented moment where you have a TNA contracted tag team or TNA contracted act winning a WWE title, which no other smaller partner in WWE history has ever won one of their titles. We established that on Sunday that like that had just never happened. Other than I think like some titles that were created to be held in Japan back in the 80s, like Antonio Inoki had the World Martial Arts Championship, and then the Junior Heavyweight Championship, but those were only defended in Japan, and they would be brought over to the States rarely. But yeah, so NXT Showdown, I'm going head to head with Title Tuesday. So far, they have one title match. AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday, they have one title match, and it's Mercedes Moné versus Florida Woman. I don't know who Florida Woman is, but that's what they got. But I'm gonna be mainly watching obviously NXT Showdown because of the TNA connections. I'm a TNA podcaster, so that makes sense. I'm gonna try to keep up with Dynamite as much as I can. But I may end up going live that night. So stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned. I may go live. We shall see if that actually happens. But looking like a big show. I get the feeling that NXT is going to beat AEW fairly handily. And when they do, I will be doing a video. And in the title of that video will be TNA and NXT defeat AEW Dynamite head-to-head ratings. That'll be the title. I'm not going to talk about Max. I'm not going to talk about anything else. I am going to purposely gaslight people. And I might even put a Tony Khan dumb face on the thumbnail. That might be the strategy. And it might be a record-breaking video for me. I think that would be cool. That might be like a $7 video. That'd be good. I could use $7. But yeah, so that will be happening on like if I go, I'll be going live next Thursday, and if that does happen, just be prepared for the meltdown that's going to occur when I do that. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble with a lot of people, I'm sure. But just so everybody knows, just so we're clear, that's what's happening.